Imagine this. You're in the middle of a normal day, cruising along, and then bam, something happens. A comment, a look, a tone of voice, and suddenly your body tightens. You can feel your thoughts race. Your patience is disappearing. And you hear yourself say something sharp. Or maybe you shut down. Or maybe you walk away feeling upset. And later you think, why did that turn into such a big deal? If you've ever had moments like this in your marriage, you're not alone. Many people feel overwhelmed and reactive and disconnected, even though they love each other and they want things to work. And most of the time, they don't understand why it keeps happening. Here's something that I've seen. When we're reactive, we're not seeing the whole picture. And that's okay. We're not broken, or we're not bad at relationships. Our mind is just working under pressure. When emotions rise, our thinking narrows. It's almost like wearing blinders. We see what's right in front of us, but we miss everything else. In those moments, it feels like the problem is obvious. We've all been there. It feels like the other person is the issue. Strong feelings make thoughts feel true. They appear to be true. They make our reactions feel justified. And what's really happening is simpler than we think. A lot of the time, marriage pain doesn't come from lack of love. It comes from living in reaction mode. And I've noticed this for myself and in my own life. We're moving fast, we respond quickly, we don't pause, we don't slow down, we don't have important conversations. And those small moments, they pile up and nothing ever settles. And because we're busy reacting, we often don't see what's actually needed. And this is where many people quietly get stuck in their relationships. They say they want the marriage to feel better, but what they really want is for the other person to change. We want them to talk differently, or to behave differently, or to be more careful. So, what do? We correct them. We explain, we defend, we withdraw. We've all been there. All the energy goes towards trying to change the other person. But the real issue isn't them. It's the pace at which you're living your life. When life is lived reactively, everything feels urgent. Every comment feels loaded, and every disagreement feels big. And the mind doesn't have time to reset. There's no time to notice our thinking, to take a beat, to think something new, to see something differently. Here's a question that may be worth sitting with. What if my marriage isn't failing? What if I'm just moving too fast in my own thinking? And you don't need to answer that. But just notice what happens when you hear it. Notice what shifts, even slightly. And I want to talk about kindness. Most of us think kindness means smoothing things over, or letting things slide, or agreeing just to keep the peace, or even ignoring what doesn't feel right. But that kind of kindness often keeps the problem in place. I've noticed that real kindness, it doesn't rush or react or pretend everything's fine. Real kindness slows things down and creates space. And that space is where clarity will show up before words are said and before things explode. Strong marriages, I've seen time and time again, aren't built on avoiding conflict. They're built on, things like intentional, kind, compassionate communication, understanding one another, on slowing down enough to plan and reflect and speak honestly. And that doesn't mean long talks all of the time. It just means being willing to stop the spiral, to say, hey, let's pause. Let's come back to this. Let's think instead of react. When couples learn to slow the moment down, something changes. Our reactions soften, our understanding grows, our connection returns. And it's not because anyone is fixing the other person, but because the system changes. The marriage becomes more intentional and creative instead of reactive. So if you've noticed yourself getting triggered lately, you may want to try this. Instead of asking yourself, why are they like this? Gently ask, how fast is this moment moving? How can I slow things down here? We often don't have to figure everything out, but just noticing the speed is often enough. It's enough for the experience to shift on its own. Because when the mind slows down, clarity comes back. And when clarity comes back, connection becomes possible again. So we talked about how reactivity can make everything feel harder than it needs to be. And there's another feeling that keeps many people frozen. It's the feeling of being stuck, not knowing where to go, whether to stay, whether to go, or whether to speak up or be quiet. In the next video, I want to look at what that stuck feeling really is, because it's not the relationship trapping you. It's the fight happening inside your own mind. When you see how resistance creates the feeling of being stuck, clarity starts to show up. And from that calm place, better choices, decisions, words, and actions become possible.